Hi, I'm Tom Collinger. Welcome back to segment number 3 of my interview with my friend Jonathan Copulsky talking about the technology fallacy. And he spent the first couple of sessions reminding us about something that they discovered called the knowing-doing gap. So I'm especially interested in you telling the audience a little bit about something that you describe as the duct tape strategy.
So yes, we've got in the book, it's chapter 5, the duct tape approach to digital strategy. And you can actually download that for free from the Deloitte site. And we had a lot of fun with that. So here's the deal. We all know duct tape. Duct tape is a familiar technology to us, but what we may not know is the history of it. So it started out in 1940, part of World War II. It was used for a variety of military applications. And after the war, then people discovered it was very good for sealing metal duct, right? Hence the title duct tape. Now, if we think about how we use duct tape now, it's a diverse set of things, and very different than what's in Medill plan. So everything from, you could put it on your hand for warts to make wallets and fix your clothes and everything else like that. Now, what that signifies is that people have discovered ways to use duct tape in ways that the inventors of duct tape never ever imagined. And there's actually a term for this, and that term, which is what the use and applications are, is something called affordances. And affordances is an academic term, but it's really meant to say what is the value that a technology creates for its users, and part of the job as a user is for me to discover what that value is.
So that's interesting because probably not known to many is the fact that a technology, even though it is built with a particular purpose in mind, may actually evolve as it has more maturity in the market. Can you give us an example of one beyond the duct tape?
Yeah, well, no, absolutely. And it's not confined to digital technologies. Many of us are familiar with Rogaine. And Rogaine, for a lot of people, and you may not need a term, but I do. But it's really about, for people who have lost hair and for dealing with male pattern baldness. But in fact, Rogaine was not invented for that purpose. Rogaine was invented for high blood pressure, and it turned out that a side effect was that it caused excessive hair growth. So this is an example of where somebody has discovered that there's an application or an affordance which was not part of the original purpose. Now think about Twitter. And think about everything from the political ways that Twitter is being used currently to people using Twitter for everything, helping to identify patterns in the flu, helping to identify patterns with lost luggage, helping to identify patterns with earthquakes, because people can use some of the capabilities of Twitter for those things. We never would have imagined that when somebody came out and said you could have 140 characters. So that notion of affordances is over time we uncover new applications that may not have been in the original intention of the inventors, and certainly as an organization, it took us some time to uncover those.
So help us understand what is it that enterprises can do when they're really looking to further evolve, develop, unpack these areas of existing technology.
Yeah, so the best answer is use it. And which means that you can't use everything, so you have to design experiments that allow you to test these things and then use it. And one of the examples we give in the book is the Dutch airline KLM. So originally started using Twitter purely for we're going to tweet cute little things about the airline. And so it was very promotional in nature, but over time what they discovered was when they had major disruptions due to the volcano that erupted in Iceland a number of years ago in 2011, was that it was a wonderful way to communicate with its customers. And then they discovered over time they could take the same tool, Twitter, and it became a tool for customer service, for lost baggage, and so forth. So experimentation is the key to discovering affordances, because it's only when we use something that we say, oh, works a little bit differently than I thought.
Interesting, you've described something that sounds like the obvious and age-old approach, which is trying something, measuring it, and growing from there, but it also sounds like you're adding another element, which is a kind of a set of antenna to really stay aware of and open to unexplored and unexpected ways of using technologies.
Yes, and sometimes those opportunities may come from something very, very different than your industry. Right? So if your aperture for saying, let me look at my competitors and see what my competitors are doing, you're going to lose some of the opportunities that come from businesses that may seem very unlike your businesses. And I use the example with people. I was running all of our content marketing at Deloitte, and we were experimenting with podcasts, and what prompted that was my experience as a board member for the local NPR station, and This American Life had created a very successful podcast called The Serial, over 1 million downloads, and I said, maybe we can learn something from that. So the other lesson is, don't keep your frame of reference just to your competitive set, because you may miss the opportunity to discover the affordances that other industry sectors and segments have discovered.
It's a great takeaway. Any others that you want to leave them with that represent this sort of summary of the affordances?
Just that organizations need to be very systematic in terms of creating opportunities to try out new technologies, harvest the insights, and scale as appropriate. So with that, I think that this concludes this segment.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Thank you, Tom.